think this should be working. Welcome. If you have any questions throughout the time, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll be pulling questions from all over. Hold on. All right. Welcome to the CEO Sit Down. For those of you just joining us, if you have any questions about marketing, branding, business building, etc., some of you have already submitted your questions through a question box that we put up on my Instagram account, but we do take questions live as well. So let's jump in. Let me pull up my questions from Instagram as we get started. Welcome. All right. So we got a good number of questions. If your question does not get answered this week, it may get answered next week. So make sure to hit that follow button so you get a chance to get your answer question. If you also, we do short clips throughout the week on my Instagram and my TikTok account to answer some of these questions if we feel like they're more general questions that we think everybody wants the answers to and may not be here live for. So thanks for joining us. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Lauren Hatch. I'm the CEO and founder of Live Fearless Media, LF Teams, Live Fearless Productions, and a few others. It's gotten a little crazy. I am an entrepreneur specifically in the media, entertainment, marketing spaces. I have been in business now for myself for 9 years, soon to be 10. That is a scary thought. So if you have any questions about entrepreneurship, building businesses, scaling, growth, getting started, make sure to drop in the your questions in the comments, and we will get to them as we go. All right. And for some reason, I'm not seeing the right window. Such is life. Where's the question window? There we go. Now we fixed. All right. So let's see what we've got for questions. We don't pre-pull, well, we pull them off of Instagram and put them in a generalized list, but I don't get them in any particular order. So give me a second to scan through what we've got. All right, let's go to some entrepreneur mindset stuff first, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the technicals questions that you guys have asked, because a lot of you have asked like two realms, like it's either mindset or like super technical marketing questions. We may go a little more general with some of these because some of them are super niche specific, and I also worry that I'm potentially going to spend an hour on one question, and I don't want to do that because this time is short. So let's start with what's something people glamorize about business and entrepreneurship that isn't actually glamorous. Truth be told, I think the entire field of entrepreneurship is glamorized way beyond what it should be, especially these days post-COVID. When I started in entrepreneurship, it wasn't a really big thing to do, right? It was a really risky thing to do, something that most people tried to talk you out of, not into. And post COVID lockdowns and everybody kind of being in their homes and everything else that happened in that time, this kind of became the answer to a lot of people's problems when they couldn't go into the office for a short period of time. Because what happened with like business building in general, it became a lot more accessible to the general public, and it became a real answer, especially for those of us kind of in that mid-range age-wise, where you're in your 30s, 40s, where you're not quite executives, but you're not starting out. You have enough experience to be an expert in your field, but you're not really at the point in life where anybody's giving you any true big leadership roles. And entrepreneurship seemed to be kind of the answer, especially to millennials and Gen Zs, and some of Gen X, of how do we fill the gap that's been left. But the big thing I saw was entrepreneurship in 2020 is not like entrepreneurship in general. And now people are having to face very real realities of they built online businesses or multiple online businesses and kind of got dropped, for lack of a better word. And I think between the lack of support that's out there for scaling, and specifically scaling online businesses, and a lot of really bad information. I can't even tell you how much bad information I see out there about building businesses. I see a lot of it. People have been kind of left in this rut. But when people look at it from the outside looking in, it looks so glamorous because you control everything about your life, right? You don't have, it seems like you're accountable to no one but yourself. That is actually not the case. Anybody who owns a business knows you are very much accountable to people, to a lot of people, and a lot of pressure ends up falling on your shoulders. But also, I think most people think that like entrepreneurs are like constantly going to parties and doing this and that, and they're socializing, and it's really hobnobbing with the elites, because a lot of elites are entrepreneurs. And here's the reality of that: it's not. Very rarely is starting a business this entrance into an elite world, and instead it's a very lonely road where you hit the grindstone over and over and over and over again. And that's the real reality of entrepreneurship in general. Entrepreneurship in general requires you to step in this place. Business building in general requires you to step into this place that can be very lonely. And not just from a financial standpoint. Where when most people think, oh, the reason you're lonely is you can't hire employees, right? So you can't, you're by yourself, you have no team. Well, yes, but in all honesty, it's not just that. If you've ever been somebody who's built a business, you probably had a significant number of people come into your life who thought you were nuts over and over and over again. I had so many people tell me I was crazy. When I built the first business 10 years ago, I literally had so many people tell me I was insane. It would never work. I didn't know what I was talking about. I was too young. I was too inexperienced. I was too this. I was too that. Because I wasn't like 12. I didn't have zero experience, but that was the narrative that was perpetually pushed on me over and over and over again. And so you lead a lonely road, not only when you're starting up, not having the big team. So you don't have an office around you, you don't have a team around you, but you also very rarely have people in your corner. Your friends are going to think you're nuts. Your family's going to think you're nuts. Some of your friends are who you think are going to be your biggest supporters are going to be your biggest problem makers. I've been through that process more than once. So I would say one of the biggest questions of what isn't actually as glamorous, I'd say the entire field of being an entrepreneur, of being a business builder, is not nearly as glamorous as we try to make it out to be. All right. I'm so sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. I forgot to put my phone on do not disturb. Let me. That's my neighbor. She doesn't ever call me. That's unusual. Okay, I'm gonna put this live stream on pause for a second, guys. That's unusual. We'll